When was the last time you explored the way that you worked? Here we're going to introduce you to one of the most helpful models that we use consistently through the work that we do and with the different customers that we work with. So not all models are right, but some are really useful. And this has probably been one of the most useful models that I've come across. So what we're looking at here is the Stacey Matrix. It was developed by a guy called Ralph Stacey. And what he did was he conducted a study of work. And through his study of work, he identified 4 different types of work that we undertake. To get to understanding which one of these 4 zones of work we might be in, he asked himself 2 simple questions. With the piece of work that we need to do, how certain are we around what the solution might be? So if we think about the 2 axes here, down the very bottom left-hand corner, we're very certain around the what of the solution. And as we move further up here, we become more and more uncertain around the what of the solution. Then if we look at the bottom axis, the how certain are we around how we're going to approach it? So we're very certain in the bottom left-hand axis, and the uncertainty increases as we move towards the right. And then using this very simple model, we can map the type of work that we're undertaking, and we can help to decide the best approach that we're going to use in order to deliver successfully with it. So to help us work through this, we're going to think about a really simple example. We're going to talk about holidays. So cast your mind back, think about when you've booked a holiday. Maybe it's just for yourself. You've got to log on to the flight website, you've got to book your flight, and you've got to book your hotel. Many people would categorize that in the simple category. We're very certain around the what, so where we're going is on holiday. We're very certain around the how. We've got an approach, we're booking it online. Now let's take a moment and think about how that might shift if you have to book a holiday online for 12 people. Maybe it's an extended family gathering, maybe you're going away with a whole group of friends. But suddenly it becomes a lot more complicated. We need to think about planning, we need to think about organising, and we have to have a level of planning taking place before we hop onto those websites to make sure that we make the booking. This is typically where the predictive mindset comes into place. We're trying to predict the events in the future, we're creating plans, and those plans will help us to deliver on work. This is the home of traditional project management, of waterfall techniques, and where predictive planning lives best. Now if we step up, as we become less certain around the what and the how, we're in a zone of complexity. To help illustrate this, think about what it might be like booking a holiday online for 12 people to a restricted country. Suddenly the complexity is increased. Do we know the restricted country that we're going to? No, so we're uncertain. Do we know how we're going to do it? Maybe the destination isn't available online and we might have to use different techniques. We now find ourselves in this uncertain zone. This is where agile mindset comes into play. This is where we have to think about growth mindset and adapting and changing. Finally, if we step up the curve, just imagine booking a holiday online to a restricted country for 12 people during COVID. You can already feel the chaos occurring. How you'd be able to navigate that based on the level of uncertainty, things changing from day to day. People will often ask us, yeah, but what do we do if we're in this chaotic zone? And we've worked with nurses and we've worked with defence personnel. The best advice that we can give is sense and respond to the situation that we're in. Put simply, this might be creating your wall of work, putting down the things that you know right now and working through them one step at a time. Once you've moved out of chaos, you might step down into complexity. And in complexity, then we can start to apply an agile mindset, thinking about where is our big goal or our end destination and slowly tacking towards it. We'll move from there down to complicated. And once we're in a complicated zone, we can come up with a plan up front. We have a clear trajectory to deliver on it. But as you can see, the goal through this is to move from the top right to the bottom left. Now we can use various ways of being able to achieve that. Maybe we start to break down some of these complex things. So maybe we look at booking the holiday for one person to the restricted country first, and then we think about how we do that for the second and the third. Maybe we'll look at breaking that down into elements. Maybe the flights are easy, but the hotels are hard. We think about ways that we can bring it down into this level here. Now, the difference between predictive and adaptive mindsets is shown up often when we look at ways of delivering on our outcomes. In a traditional setting, what we'll try and do is we'll get certain around the what first. So we'll take various techniques and we'll use a lot of the common frameworks that are out there to get clearer around what it is. This is where we might see plans, we might see schedules, we might see budgets, we might see risks that are all surfaced in terms of how we might manage this more effectively. Now the challenge is, if you're in a zone of complexity where things are changing, what might seem solid here can quickly change when we're here. Ever seen the classic watermelon project, moving from green through to amber and through to red? It's because we're not considering the how alongside the what. This is where the adaptive mindset becomes so important, because it's breaking down some of those big factors. And then what we have is some how, some what, some how, some what, some how, and some what. And we're doing that by taking small steps and evaluating our progress along the way and seeking to understand the various aspects so that we can adapt to it. So sometimes this might take longer because we're learning along the way, but this will see something move from being red with a high level of uncertainty towards green and a level of certainty.